Hello and welcome to a new video. This time I'm gonna be installing the Dynojet Power Commander V on my 2014 BMW R nineT. The Power Commander V is a fuel controller that adjusts your motorcycle fuel map if you have added a high flow air filter, an aftermarket exhaust system, or both. Any of these modifications will, in some way, alter the air and fuel ratio in your engine. I have previously installed the Akrapovic exhaust headers on my R nineT, and even though installing a fuel controller with the Akrapovic header is not required, but it is recommended for optimal performance. Because I modified the exhaust system, I decided to install the Power Commander fuel controller, as well as a new K&M high flow air filter. My intention for doing this is to balance the fuel system and not for performance. Will this approach add 2 extra ponies to the bike? Possibly, but I don't think the gains are worth the investment. I was looking for a better sound with the Akrapovic headers, but I also wanted the bike to brake freely and not have an asthma attack every time I twisted the throttle. There are 3 main reasons why I chose Dynojet over other brands. One is because I read a lot of reviews and the reputation was outstanding. Second, they are in stock in the USA and I did not have to pay for international shipping. And third, and probably the most important, I was able to read the installation instructions online and they were clear as water. First and foremost, you do not need to remove the tank to install the Power Commander, but because I was replacing the air filter as well, I have to remove the tank. If you choose not to remove the tank, you will need to loosen the tank to prop the area at least a few inches to access the negative pole on the battery. I hope you have removed the tank at least once by now. If not, this is something you have to learn to do if you plan on working on your own bike. The replacement of the air filter is pretty simple and straightforward. Just make sure you have enough patience to do it. Important, do not turn the ignition on while any connections are unplugged. Not only that, do not leave the key in the ignition at all. Now let's get started with the Power Commander. First thing, secure the Power Commander ground wire with the small ring lock to the negative terminal on the battery. The wiring harness branch with the 4 connectors goes on the left side cylinder head, and the other one with only 2 connectors goes towards the right cylinder head. Now route the 3-pin connectors behind the intake tube. The gap is very small, but you will have to drop down the wires first before passing it behind all the wiring harnesses. The small air intake hose is very flexible and you should be able to pass the wires over it. Now it's time to unplug the throttle position sensor on the left side cylinder to install the new Power Commander line. This is the one with the 3-pin connector. Also, don't lose the clip because we will be reusing it to connect the Power Commander to the stock wiring harness. Tuck the extra connection discreetly behind and beneath the throttle body. Now let's install the Power Commander leads with the orange color wires on the left side fuel injector and the stock wiring harness. All the installations are technically the same. Remove the clip from the stock harness, wiggle the wire off, and then plug in the Power Commander. Take your time and play around with the wires, as you might need to put them in one position or another depending on the location of the wiring harnesses on your bike. Don't be afraid to plug and unplug, as not always will work on the first try. Just be careful when removing the wires. Once finished with the connectors on the left side cylinder, have the wire follow the frame of the bike, over the battery and onto the other side. You can secure the line to the frame or existing lines to prevent it from moving. Now it's time to plug the pair of Power Commander leads with the yellow colored wires on it to the right side fuel injector. So, what is my logic for this installation? After removing the catalyst, more air is leaving the engine at a faster pace. The installation of a high-flow air filter will make sure enough air is making it into the engine. The purpose of the fuel controller is to make sure the bike is not running lean and making sure enough fuel is being sprayed according to the amount of air that is coming into the engine. After you are done with all the connections, reinstall the gas tank and please make sure to do the proper torque on all the bolts. Use zip ties to secure the cable to the frame of the bike. Reinstall the seat brackets and the trim on the side of the tank. Insert all the rubber plugs on the Power Commander module to keep it watertight. Zip tie the cable on the right side fuel injector. Using the supplied alcohol wipe, clean the snorkel and the back of the module to remove any dirt or oil from them. Once the alcohol dries, use the supply velcro to secure the Power Commander module to the air intake snorkel. Finally, adhere the K and N sticker to the snorkel to remind you and others that you have a reusable and washable air filter. When I was trying to reinstall the trim on the snorkel, I realized that something was on the way, but I could not tell what it was. If you look closely, you will see that the new Power Commander cable was not letting me install the trim. So I had to readjust the location of the Power Commander cables to provide enough room for the trim to be reinstalled. This is what I have to do to give me enough room for the trim to be reinstalled. Now there's plenty of room between the trim and the cables. Now reattach the bolts on the trim and make sure not to overdo it. And this is the finished product. There's enough room between the lines and the Power Commander is technically invisible. According to Dynojet, the stock O2 sensors will no longer be needed after installing the Power Commander. But because I live in Virginia, I decided to leave them on. If you decide to remove them, you will need two O2 sensor plug bolts, for the holes in the exhaust pipes. Akrapovic sells them and they are 18mm by 1.5. And there you have it, the installation of the Dynojet Power Commander V